Welcome back to the Last Call Sports Podcast. This is the College Football Week 1 edition. Guys, I'm one of your hosts, Big Germ. I'm followed with co-hosts Doc, Gruber, and Corbin's brother. We got the Week 1 lineups in front of us. Guys, I've got the spreads. I've got the over and unders. Finally, we've got a full slate of college football this week. Let's just dive right into it. I want to hear everybody's thoughts. And at the end, guys, you're going to think that your listening station got changed to Gordon Ramsay because the boys are going to be cooking up a parlay for you guys to hear at the end. So stay tuned. Be patient. Let's roll right into it. Thursday, first game, Florida at Utah. Utah's coming in as the number 14 ranked team in the nation. They're a 7-point favorite. The over and under is 47. Doc, you're a Florida fan. Let's hear your thoughts on it.
Yep, I'm a Florida fan. But we're in the UT Acres Down South polo hat combo today because I had to miss last week. So this is my punishment this week.
It's a good look.
I don't feel good in it. I don't like it.
I don't like it either, but it's a better looking orange on you.
Yep, that's fine. But I'm glad it's week 1. Florida at Utah. I like Florida +7 here. Cam Rising, I don't think that he's going to end up playing. We were talking about that earlier today. If I had to pick a line on that, I would take the Florida with the points. I don't know about the over-under. If anything, I probably would go under, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But that's where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah, I mean, Florida, we know they're playing run the ball, new quarterback. Wasn't impressed with Graham Mertz last year, but also wasn't impressed with anything Florida did last year. I do think defensively they'll be better. Utah, we know their strong point it is defense. If Cam Rising plays, I think you take Utah and the points. Mm-hmm. But just to err on the safe side right here, I would stick with the under 47. Mm-hmm. What you got, B?
I agree completely. If Cam Rising doesn't play, it's Florida. Cam Rising, it's not like he's that great of a quarterback, but he is the heart and soul of that team, and that team just doesn't tick without him. The only thing I will say is everything I've been seeing for the past couple of days has been the same thing that we're saying, and so it seems like everybody's kind of on the same trail here with Florida-Utah game, which does make me a little bit nervous that everybody's thinking it. So,
yeah.
You know, but I am on Florida side. I'm going Florida.
I like it. I think it all depends on Rising as well.
I don't think he plays.
I don't think Rising plays either, and I think the line's changing because of that.
Well, how effective is he if he does play? I mean, if we're having this conversation, he's still hurt.
Well, he had the interview, so that's the only reason why people are saying that, you know, they think he could play is because he had that interview and he would not give a solid answer if he was playing or not. He said, we'll just wait and see on game day. And I think they're just doing that strictly because of game planning from Florida side. I mean, you know, if he says he's playing, Florida has, you know, a couple of days to prepare for Rising. So I think it's all a strategy being put on by them, but I don't think he plays. There's no way.
I think that this is setting up for a Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne game. I think it's going to be a dual running back type thing. I don't see them, even when they get the offense running, really airing it out a lot. I think they fall back to what worked last year and just hoping and praying that the defense can kind of pull through, have a couple turnovers, that type of thing, and win the game that way, and then also winning the game in between the 20s. I think that's going to be massive.
I agree.
I'm right there with you. I mean, losing AR is obviously a huge deal. Everyone remembers that game last year. That was supposed to be his Heisman moment, and it completely fell off after that. Graham Mertz is not Anthony Richardson. Never will be. So, I mean, I'm sticking with it. Take the under.
Under Florida +7 right now.
You know what Mertz's receiving odds are right now? It's over under 182.
I mean, I can't tell you the receivers for Florida anymore. You've still got
you got Ricky Parcells there, the one wide receiver. Their second guy is Caleb Douglas, sophomore, and they got right now. This is their third guy is that Jaquavian Frazier's. He's a junior. So I mean,
Jaquavian Tech Theratrix.
They got a freshman starting at tight end too. That's supposed to be decent, but I think he's going to be more of a run blocking tight end, if anything, just setting up, like I said, for that dual running back system with Montrell and Trevor. So we'll see.
I've had enough of Florida this week.
I've had enough Florida this segment, so let's run the Arkansas State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a big favorite. 32.5 is the line. The over and under is 60.5. BB, what you think?
Man, I really want to go Oklahoma there. I think it's a perfect setup for Oklahoma. I would be willing to say that nobody's really even talking about that game right now. It's not on anybody's radar. Oklahoma does have a little bit of a history of letting up on those type of games, where the games where they should be covering and they don't. But I'm all in on Oklahoma right there.
I agree. I think you trust in Dylan Gabriel. I think he's solid, but I don't know who all else would be around him other than like Drake Stoops or who's that running back that they have now? I think he's a sophomore or a freshman. I can't remember his name, but yeah, I think you take Oklahoma here.
I'm taking that over too.
Jacob will agree with me on this one. You always bet against Butch Jones. So
One brick at a time.
there's one thing Butch Jones does know how to do. It's put up points, so I can see a lot of points in this game, but 32.5, that's a ton of points, even for Butch Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's just such a large number. It's hard to take those spreads just because it's so easy for a team, especially week one. We have, a lot of questions in the air. You have no film. It's easy for a team like that to get up by 35, even 42, bring in, the second QBs, bring in some second strings on defense, and then let a team like Arkansas State, make a couple drives late and still win the game handsomely, but, spoil the spread. So, if we're talking parlays, I may stick away from a spread that big just because of that spoil factor. But, I could see the actual spread going one way or the other. It really just depends on how fast they strike, how quick they strike early, and how long the starters stay in if they get taken out.
And how dumb Butch decides to be week one.
Yeah. So another game, probably the most talked about, probably the most bet on week one. Our boy Primetime with Colorado is coming down to number 17 TCU. TCU's a favorite by 21. Over and under is 59.
Look,
Corbin's brother, you're grinning and shaking your head over there. I'm guessing you're taking this one too.
Yeah,
Look,
it's your boy Travis Hunter. Let's hear it.
well, I'll tell you this. It's not even that. It's a simple aspect of this game. Colorado's not going to be able to compete as far, defensively. He's not going to be able to recruit these, big defensive lines. He's not going to be able to put a defensive juggernaut out there. But one thing that he said he's always been good at, and one thing that they were even good at Jackson State, they couldn't defend anybody when it came to playing, high-level teams. But he said that nobody could recruit skill position players better than him. So my lock on this game, I'm taking over 59 because they're not going to be able to stop anybody, but I also think that they can score. I think Shadur Sanders is a lot better than what people give him credit for. I think Travis Hunter is good. Now, whether he'll be able to put his, defensive game anywhere on this game, but offensively, they're going to be fine. And I really want to lean Colorado covering. 21 is what it opened at. I'm not sure what the lines move to now, but my only lock of that game is I'm taking the over.
I like that over.
I like the over too. I mean, you said you don't know how much Travis Hunter will play into it defensively. I mean, I think he locks down one side of the field. You sit and think of everything that TCU lost. Max Duggan's gone. Quentin Johnson's gone. They lost a ton. So when I'm thinking points, well, yeah, Colorado's going to put up points. They're not going to be able to stop a nosebleed. But I feel pretty good about Colorado covering that 21. I really do. I'm not sure what TCU is going to bring to the table this year. I mean, they reloaded. They definitely did. They're going to be good, but I'm leaning towards Colorado covering.
I like it.
I'm not. I'm leaning more so to TCU taking 21. The reason being, I think that TCU puts the points up because they're returning 9 upperclassmen on defense. 7 of those being seniors, 2 of those being juniors, 1 freshman, and then I think 1 sophomore coming in. They're giving Colorado like an 8% chance to win the game by itself already going into it. I think that TCU puts the points up and then holds them on offense. I think everybody starts questioning Prime early and then wondering if this is just going to be a one-and-done thing with him.
I'll tell you this, though. I think people are already questioning Prime. And I think if if I had to guess, I think majority of people are going to be on TCU this week.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that's rightfully so. But like I said, those skill position players, I think they can score with just about anybody. I think they can keep up with anybody offensively. Now, they go up against somebody like Alabama or Georgia. Shadur might be running for his life, but still, great skill positions players.
That's my only fear with anything about that offense is the offensive line. I mean, that whole team's pieced together with transfers.
Mm-hmm.
It's an absurd – I can't think of the number off the top of my head. I know it's over 30.
Mm-hmm.
But –
he brought Louis.
Yeah, he did. I mean, and like you said, there's SEC transfers all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
P.S.A. Smoke was one of the best running backs in the SEC.
Yeah.
Which he got, buried behind Christian Rodriguez and others at Kentucky. But people forget about how good P.S.A. Smoke was.
Yeah. And here, actually, I'll tell you right now, public's more on Colorado right now. So,
which why I like TCU in it. And that's another thing too is that they did well in the transfer portal, but so did TCU. I mean, you're looking at an offense that's coming in. Granted, they have a new quarterback with Chandler Morris, that's a redshirt junior transfer in, but then also too you have a junior at wide receiver, a senior, and another senior, and Warren Savion, and then also J.P. Richardson, that are all established guys that are solid playmakers too.
I agree.
So I think, and they Emmanuel Bailey that's coming back this year too. He was there in the program last year and he did well. He wasn't the number one guy there last year at running back, but he still did well. So I'm leaning more so to the 21 and then the under.
Yeah. Well, one last thing about it though. I know we're talking about TCU, what they put out last year, and they're losing some people, but again, I know Max Duggan was in the Heisman consideration. I don't think Max Duggan is that good of a quarterback. I don't think he was that good at all. I don't think Quentin Johnson was that good of a receiver either.
Max Duggan already got cut. You see that?
Max Duggan got cut,
Yep.
and Quentin Johnson.
I felt bad for him. Did you see his face? He was sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that man was sad.
He's been living a high life for the past couple of months. I mean, finishing as a Heisman finalist and then going to the draft, and
that's tough.
I mean, but he's not, and he was never going to cut it. And Quentin Johnson, if you want my honest opinion, I'm calling it now, bust. Dude can't catch. Dude cannot catch. If you watch all of the games last year, shout out to John Michael, our buddy John Michael. He actually made me watch this, and I watched it, and I noticed it right away. He catches every single ball with his body, no hands. All right,
Couldn't catch a cold naked in Alaska.
he couldn't. He's just he's a big physical guy, but he's not that skilled. So
I got you. So there's your hot take. All right, East Carolina at number 2, Michigan. The line's Michigan by 34.5. Over and under is 52.5. Now, Gruber, I have heard you say on this podcast that Michigan is loaded with talent this year. So let me hear your thoughts. 34.5. Can they cover?
Can they cover it? Absolutely. The only thing that scares me is Michigan is so loaded that I do think this game gets out of hand early. I mean, offensively, defensively, East Carolina is just outmatched across the board. I do think Michigan has – Logan actually mentioned it, I think, 2 weeks ago. It's the best running back room in the country.
Blake Corum and then Donovan Edwards coming back, both of them.
I mean, they're going to run wild, and then I don't see a way that East Carolina can put up points. I think if I'm leaning anything here, I'm leaning the over, just because I think it does get out of hand so quick and we get some of those backups in. Mm-hmm. East Carolina starts moving the ball, starts putting up a few points. I think I'd be leaning the over right here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take a team to cover 34.5, you almost have to take the over.
That's too many points, yeah.
Right.
I completely agree. I think it gets out of hand pretty quick. J.J. McCarthy, you see him leaving at the first half. You might see more of that. The other guy, Jack Tuttle, in the second half, grad transfer coming in. But like I said, Blake Corum and then Donovan Edwards, they're going to just absolutely tear that East Carolina defense up in the big house. A lot of hype coming into this year, and I think they make a statement early.
Another thing that we're not even talking about is Harbaugh's not coaching this game.
Yeah, that's true
Harbaugh's
too.
out.
Yeah.
Will that play effect into it?
that's showing a little bit in the percentages here.
Well, we got it.
We got East Carolina actually being the public favorite right now on the spread bet.
I can see them covering, but I think it's a backdoor cover.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. The over is a lock, though, because regardless of what East Carolina does, I think Michigan puts up 51 by themselves.
I agree.
So, I mean, I think that's a lock. The over of 52.5, I bet the line's probably moved up a little bit, but I think that's a lock.
I'd agree with that. Utah State at number 25, Iowa. The line's Iowa by 23, over and under of 43. Doc, let's hear it.
It's tough for me to take Iowa with the points because I don't know how many times that they've put points on the board.
Yeah.
So that's where I know it's a new year this year. They have Cade McNamara as their starting quarterback. I don't know. I mean, I don't remember last year when they put 23 points up on the board, just offhand. I mean, all their games were like 6-9. And
they won a game. What was it? Wasn't there a game last year they won 3-2?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's tough for me to take the points on it, but I think it's a new year for Iowa. I'm going to take the points at home. I think they have one of the coolest traditions in college football, waving to the kids, and I think they do it for the kids this time. I'm going to take the under, but I'm going to take the points.
FTK for the kids.
For the kids.
It's kind of sad. The kids never get to see the fireworks.
I'm glad you followed that up with for the kids.
For the kids.
We love the kids here.
I thought you were going to say what Tom Brady said that time about the kids.
Man.
All right. Moving right along. Mine and Gruber's team, finally, we get to see what Joe Milton and the rest of this Josh Heupel offense is all about. Virginia at 12, Tennessee. This game is at a neutral site. It is at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, which is practically a home game for Tennessee, but, it
Sold out, by the way.
Yes, it is sold out. I saw that notification earlier this afternoon. It's so close to here. I've about got a mind to just run up there Saturday morning, scout some tickets, have a drink or two, and come right back. It's an 11 o'clock game, but, regardless, the line's 28.5 for Tennessee. Over and under is 58.5. This is another one of the ones where I'm, it's kind of hard to take the points just because I can see Tennessee striking so fast. You know how fast this offense can get. And, it could very easily, take a 28 or a 35-point lead and then kind of call the dog, so to speak. Especially on defense, we don't know where we're going to be there. You could say Nico may come in, but hell, he may put up more fireworks than Joe. So, this was a tough one. I think Tennessee gets the dub very easily, but, I really don't know what to say about this spread right this second. Maybe after I hear you guys' thoughts, I'll have a better answer. I like the over, but it really just depends on, how Virginia scores. With that being said, screw it. Let's take it.
You going to take the over?
Yeah.
I'm on the opposite end here, and I have a couple of reasons why. Virginia, new head coach, everyone knows what happened with Virginia last year, that pointless tragedy that happened at the end of the year, canceled their last few games. New head coach, Tony Elliott, former offensive coordinator at Clemson. I want to say that their quarterback is like a D2 transfer or something like that.
Tony Muskett, yeah, senior.
They're not going to put up points. My only issue here is I don't think you'd see Tennessee's offense being Tennessee's offense this week. No Cooper Mays, and people around the program know how much Cooper Mays means to that team. It starts with the center, it ends with the center. Yeah, Cooper Mays being out is a detriment to the Tennessee offense. Do I think it matters Saturday? Absolutely not. But I do think you see a lot more of a ground game. You're probably going to see plenty of Jalen Wright, plenty of Jabari Small, plenty of Dylan Sampson, and you might even see the freshman – oh God, what's his name?
Cameron Seldon.
Cameron Seldon.
Yeah.
And I don't see a way. And people also forget too, Virginia's got a good defense. Returning a ton of people from last year.
They run that 4-2-5.
Yeah, I did see a quote today. Ramel Keaton, they asked Ramel Keaton about Virginia's defense, and he said, "Oh man, they mix up coverages just like everyone else, but they do play a lot of man, and we're excited for that." So. Last year, whenever a receiver was to say something like that, you might as well get ready for the fireworks. I don't see it. I think Heupel's going to keep the playbook kind of limited here, saving it for Florida. So I'm going under.
I'm kind of surprised you said that. I'm actually very surprised.
Well, that makes sense. They got a hell of an SEC schedule ahead of us. Why pull the trickery and, some of the crazy tactics when you don't have to.
The worst part about it is, too, I'm saying the under, but, they're still going to put up fireworks.
Right.
Joe can throw two passes, and all of a sudden he's at 175 yards.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you this.
I hope Nissan's ready because I know the Titans didn't put up enough points to have a lot of fireworks last year, so maybe they got a few extras from the off season for this season opener for Tennessee.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm on the opposite of you. I think it goes over, and strictly because of two things. Tennessee last year, opening up the year, they started out 8-0. They were 7-1 against the spread in every single game starting out the year. But the next thing is I think Nico is actually a better quarterback than Joe Milton. I think he is. I think he's more talented. I think Nico's a better quarterback than Joe Milton. So let's say Joe Milton comes in, throws 3 tutties right off the bat. Well, they might pull Joe. They might pull some of their starters. But you got Nico coming in, and I don't think it's any bit of a downgrade at all. And that offense is just made to put up points. I mean, it is. It's just made to put up points. And I think that they are going to be too good. I do agree that they do use some of the ground game. But Jabari Small, awesome. I think he has a heyday.
Memphis boy.
Yeah, shout out to Memphis. But I'm fully on the over here, and I'm taking Tennessee to cover.
And over?
Yep.
All right.
I'm taking Tennessee too. I'm taking Tennessee with the points and the over as well. I'm interested to see Dante Thornton transfer in. I'm excited to see him, and then also what role Squirrel Wright, and I want to see Brew McCoy too. I want to see what happens this year with him. I'm interested to see that, and then like you said earlier too, I think Joe Milton starts him out pretty hot. Nico comes in halftime, and it doesn't stop there.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think leads in receiving first game?
First game?
Yeah.
For Tennessee?
Yeah.
I think that's tough to say because I think a lot of these guys are only going to play a half.
Oh, I think so too. But like, if you just had to take a guess, who do you think? I think we all have different opinions here.
Well, I mean, they spread it out so well. I mean, I know your thoughts are, last year, every time Milton was in, he was throwing a squirrel. And I love squirrel.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I also like Gruber's take on Thornton, being one of the best transfer wide receivers in the game right now. So, I mean, that's a hard
It only
question
takes
to
one,
answer.
too, with Joe. That's the thing is like who's leading and receiving? Are you talking yards? Are you talking touchdowns? I mean, because you got one pass for Joe can go from 20 to the end zone on the other side. So, and then all of a sudden that guy's in the number one spot.
Well,
So,
it's a scary combo because when you match up Thornton and Squirrel White, they're going to be – it's literally every other play.
yeah.
And what that offense is designed to do is get your fastest players on a safety. And once you get somebody like Squirrel White or Thornton lined up on a safety, it's already over. Joe's going to hit them. It just depends on who's on the field at the time.
Right.
Unless he ever throws them.
And that's why I'm interested to see what happens because I think you're going to see all of them. You're going to see all the balls on Sunday, Saturday.
We haven't even talked about Brew McCoy or Ramel Keaton. So, I mean.
Yeah, people are forgetting about Ramel Keaton, too.
Yep.
I think he's for sure the most sure-handed receiver on that team. And it wouldn't surprise me if Ramel Keaton ended up being wide receiver 1. I know I went with Thornton already, but it wouldn't surprise me if you see Ramel Keaton take over that Jalen Hyatt role from last year.
Oh, yeah, people forget about him. Like, I know in the Bama game last year, Jalen Hyatt was the highlight reel with 5 touchdowns, but let me remind you that in that last-minute drive, when Hooker had to go 2 plays to get them in the field goal position, Ramel Keaton was the first catch. Brew McCoy was the second one. So without those 2 guys, we wouldn't have been in position to kick that
While
game.
we're on that topic, people forget the drive before half against Florida.
Yeah.
Ramel Keaton with the diving catch, and then Brew McCoy catches a touchdown. I mean, season's completely different without those 2 guys.
Exactly.
And they're both back this year, so.
So we're all taking Tennessee to cover.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
I like it. Either way, I think it's going to be a hell of a game day. Nashville is such a fun town. And speaking of game day, I got to give a shout-out to our first sponsor, Acres Down South. They are the home of the game day polo. Guys, if you haven't checked them out, please do. We've got some new ones coming in here in another couple weeks. They're going to be even better than the ones we had before. Go check them out. Moving on down the board, Boise State at number 10, Washington. Washington's only a 15-point favorite. Kind of a weird number for a spread, I think,
Super weird.
Over and under is 58.5. Let's hear it, Doc.
I like Washington here with the points. I'm taking the under, though. I like the quarterback in Washington. I think they come out high. They got a lot of hype this year going into the season. A lot of people have them on the outside looking in. I think they make a statement week 1. I think I give them the points even at 15. That is a weird spread. I might buy a point or a half a point just to get it down a little bit. More than likely, I'd buy a point, not a half a point. But I tend to like the spread a lot more than the over/under here.
I'm torn on this one. Washington's weakest point last year was defense, but another weak side was the offensive line. I do think they will be improved this year. If Michael Penix has time to sit in the pocket and make throws, he's liable to throw for 300 on Saturday. With that being said, Boise's going to try and slow it down. They've got a couple good running backs and a quarterback that's very mobile, and I can see one of those running backs going for 200. It's one of those toss-up games. If I wouldn't touch it if I'm betting, just because I can see Boise just sitting there and draining that clock. I do think Washington comes out with a win, but I can see Boise just controlling the ball, draining the clock. If I was to bet on something, it would probably be the under. But at the same time, if Michael Penix gets rolling, it's trouble. And I can also see he's an early Heisman favorite. I can see old ball coach coming out and saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and pad the stats a little bit.
They're
I think
also
they want
returning. They're returning a ton of guys on
A
defense.
ton of guys.
Well, they
Everybody's
also
coming.
brought in Dylan Johnson from Mississippi State, the running back.
Yeah, he's a starter.
I think he has a heyday. I think Dylan Johnson is super talented, and especially in that league now, it's a totally different ballgame than the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think Dylan Johnson has a heyday. I was vocal about not liking Washington in the top 25, but I don't think Boise State is any match here. I've got Washington covering.
I like it. Washington, I mean, we've talked about how Tennessee's season depends on Joe Milton. Washington, their season depends on Michael Penix. And when he's good, he's great. But
I agree with you. I think that I think that Washington's kind of being downplayed a little bit. And I could definitely see them leaving in Penix just to let him pad the stat sheet a little bit, just to kind of say, hey, we're here. This is us. This is who we are. You know, I could definitely see them leaving him in the game and padding it. So the 15, I'm taking it. Over, under, not quite sure. I wouldn't touch that.
Let's go under. Let's go under. All right, next game up, Buffalo. I'm not talking about the Colorado Buffaloes. I'm talking about Buffalo, New York, at number 19, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 25-point favorite. The under-over is 55. Over and under is 55, excuse me. What do you think about it, Corbin's brother?
jump around.
I don't like either one, if you want me to be completely honest. I would stay away from that game. If I had to go anywhere, I would take the under of 55. But I'm not touching that game. That's one I would be completely fine with staying away.
I'm right there with you. When you think Washington or Wisconsin, you think running the football, you think solid defense.
Yep.
There's usually not a lot of points. At home against Buffalo, I could see them first game of the year just trying to air it out a little bit. Probably not going to happen. If I'm not touching it, but if I had to, I would take the under.
Yeah.
I like Buffalo here with the points. The reason being they got a solid receiver in Darrell Harding Jr. and then also returning a tight end in Jake Orlando, who's actually a solid guy going even forward into next year in the NFL draft. Senior transfer quarterback in Cole Snyder. I like him too. I think the game's a lot closer than a lot of people think. I think, Wisconsin's going to be jumping around for sure, but I tend to lean Buffalo covering here at 25. Another weird spread.
I like it.
I don't know, man. You don't know what you don't know. I'll be the first to admit I don't know much about Buffalo or Wisconsin. Now, if this was Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, I would take them to cover that for sure, But, either way, number 3, Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State is a 27.5-point favorite. Over and under is 59.5. What do you think about that one, Doc?
I mean, Ohio State's just uber talented. I mean, just absolutely crazy. I like Ohio State here. I think that, with them, with Kyle McCord coming as their quarterback, I think it's solid. I mean, Marvin Harrison, I'm excited to see him play this year. I think you have to go. And what's the other wide receiver? Emeka Egbuka. I like him too. I like Ohio State here with the points.
Yeah, you already know where I sit with Ohio State. I'm huge on Ohio State this year. I would take Ohio State to cover that. I do think this game could be something like it's going to be high scoring. Mm-hmm. It is. I can see something like a 52-21 game, something like that. I would take Ohio State to cover. And I really want Ohio State to cover because I want to see old Carnell Tate. We were hoping to get him in Tennessee. I've heard great things out of him out of training camp, and I really want to see Carnell Tate. Also, shout out to Carnell Tate. His mother passed away probably 3-4 weeks ago. Prayers for Carnell Tate.
Dang. Yeah. Prayers for him. I'm with you. I'm taking Ohio State. I think they're too talented. Kind of like the same deal with the Michigan game. They're just putting too much talent on the field. I think Ohio State, puts up 50 alone. So I'm leaning towards the over because I do think Indiana puts up, a few points here and there. But too much talent. Ohio State covers over.
Yeah, well, I know we're not supposed to do this on the podcast, but I guess we all four do agree. So, I mean, like you guys said, Marvin Harrison Jr. He's in the talks with the Heisman. At a game like this, that's a stat padding game. I can see him going for, 150 plus receiving yards, maybe even 200. So I think they cover. I think they go over.
This goes back to something we talked about last week. I mean, I hate that it's week 1 of college football, but I also love it's week 1 of college football because I cannot wait for that Ohio State-Michigan game.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a tweet, I think that was yesterday. Somebody said Ohio State's built to win the national championship. Michigan's built to beat Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I have a little bit of a theory that I've developed about Ohio State, though. If you look at USC and what, and you look at Lincoln Riley and everything like that, and how they call him kind of the QB whisperer, and they're putting out, Caleb Williams, and he had, at Oklahoma, he had Baker and all them. And he just keeps getting these high-profile quarterback recruits. You look at Ohio State, what they're putting out as far as receiver talent, I think that they kind of, whenever they have some of these dogs as receivers, they kind of want to pad their stats in some of these games just so at the end of the year you can look at some of their stats and use that as a recruiting tactic to keep on getting some dogs at receiver. And, I almost consider Ohio State receiver U right now, if you want to be honest. Yeah. So
I don't know if you saw, but Marvin Harrison broke down his top 5 receivers for Ohio State. He had Chris Olave at number 2, right behind Chris Carter. So,
ooh, my team's looking good.
We're not going to fantasy yet. Let's move down the board. Rice at number 11, Texas, opening up as a 36-point favorite. Over and under is 59.5. Gruber, let's hear it.
Take the points. I fully think Sarkisian's you're gonna see a lot of Quinn Ewers. You're gonna see a lot of Arch Manning, and I think both of them come out there and put on a show. I think Sarkisian's pissed at what happened last year, didn't meet expectations. I mean, you got to have a good showing last year before you go into the SEC with the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
Let that man cook, okay? Let him cook.
I think you take Texas here with the points, but I think you lean to the under. My bold take is you see Quinn Ewers, but then you see Malik Murphy. I don't think you even see Arch Manning.
Oh, they'll throw him on the field.
I think they're going to hide him.
I like it. All the reports coming out that he hasn't looked that good. So.
Well, have you seen all the reports since then? How they're like, oh yeah, he's
looking good. He's running like he ran like 20 miles per hour or something on a breakaway run.
But my thing is, imagine this though. Imagine they're up at halftime, and then all of a sudden you throw Arch out there and he throws 2 picks. Yeah. What does that do?
Oh, and it hurts. It hurts his value like crazy.
Oh yeah, it is not a good look at all. And that's my thing. I don't think they're going to throw him out there until he's ready.
If I'm the Manning family, I'm making a call saying, "Don't put the boy in."
They need to send him to Manning quarterback.
Let the boy
he's been
watch.
there his whole life. Which people forget too.
Send him back. He has a couple more reps.
Old Uncle Peyton didn't have a good debut at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Old Uncle Peyton had a really bad debut at Tennessee, and then look what happened with him. So I mean, I'm not too concerned about Arch. I think Arch will be fine. There's too many good quarterbacks in the family for him not to be. And he's got the body. I mean, he's got the build. He's got everything you need for a good quarterback. So,
you see where he's projected to make more money on NIL deals this year than Joe Burrow will in his NFL contract.
Caleb Williams too.
Yeah. Nuts.
I'll save this take for later. I mean, we talked about it last week and the week before, but I've got an NIL take that.
I think Cooper Manning will be a better quarterback than Arch Manning.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I don't think Caleb Williams goes in the draft this year.
That's part of my take. We'll save it for later.
Yep. Well, we got to get down this list. Nevada at number 6, USC. USC's a 38-point favorite, over and under 63.5.
USC.
What about them Trojans?
USC. They reloaded this year. Caleb Williams, he looked like he was playing backyard football last week. All right, like he didn't even look like he was even trying. Still threw 4 touchdowns. I think USC is better this year than what they were last year. I think their defense got better. And I just went blank, but what's the receiver's name they brought in?
The kid they're comparing to Reggie Bush?
Yes.
The receiver?
Yes.
Brendan Rice or Dorian Singer?
No, it's neither one of those.
Mikel Lemon? Transfer Mario Williams? Taj Washington?
No. Anyway, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Going through all the receivers here.
Yeah. I mean, the kid's a freak, to be honest with you.
It wasn't Brendan Rice?
No.
Okay, then I don't know.
No, the kid's unreal. And with Caleb Williams throwing him the ball. And they loaded up on defensive talent this offseason too, because if you remember, last year they were playing with some walk-ons on their defensive end. So, just upgrading from that alone is going to help them out this year. So I'm taking USC for sure.
I mean, I'm right there with you. Me and Logan talked about that this weekend. I am on taking the USC over every game they play until it gets into like the 80s. And I still might take it then, just because they're going to put up points every week. I can see them putting up, they'll probably average 30, 32, 34 at the end of the year. But defensively, did they get better? Yes, but I don't think they care about defense. I think they know that they're going to put up so many points it doesn't matter. So I am taking the over with USC until I'm proven wrong.
Hey, I think Caleb Williams too. I think that not only he wants it, but I think they want him to win that Heisman again and be the first back-to-back. And did you also see what Caleb Williams said? That he plays football. He doesn't play it for the sport itself, but he plays it for to be like a god, basically, to basically his legacy live on forever. So he wants that Heisman. He wants that Heisman again.
My take is, last week 0, they won 56-28 against San Jose State, which is a sneaky team. Okay, Nick Nash for San Jose he had 3 tutties. Caleb Williams was 18 for 25, 278 yards with 4 touchdowns. Like you said, playing backyard football, over 500 yards of total offense. Always take the over. I'm taking the over here, but I'm staying away from the points. I think it's another game, too, where they can get a little out of hand at the half, might slow down a little bit second half. But last week at the end of the first half, 1 touchdown ball game against San Jose, 21-14. And I know a lot of people that were taking USC last week with the points were definitely scratching their head saying, what's going on here?
Hey, when did they check out Caleb Williams last game? Was it third quarter?
Yeah, third.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's one thing I don't think they pull him before mid to end of the third quarter.
The reason
anytime this year.
I think the reason they did that though is because he had already pat the stats. Like I said, 278 with 4 touchdowns. So you're on the right track.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's not going to affect anything later on down the road when it comes to Heisman voting or anything like that.
I think he gets pulled out third quarter pretty much every single game this year. But I don't think they pull him out half any because they're going. I'm telling you, they're going for that Heisman. It's going to bring money to the school too. And Lincoln Riley, same thing with that with the Ohio State theory. He wants another top tier quarter. That's QBU. He wants that Heisman just as much as Caleb Williams does. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
You're right.
Yeah, man. Sorry, but just go ahead and apologize on there, guys. We've had a weather change this year, and we are in the South. So when the weather changes, the pollen comes, and my sinuses are kicking my arse this week. I've taken Claritin, Dayquil, you name it. I've taken it.
Shout out
So
Claritin.
it's getting Brennan too.
I swallowed my water wrong. I'm fine.
That's
I'm
called being
healthy.
ignorant.
I'm healthy. This body is a temple.
All right, New Mexico, not Old Mexico, but New Mexico, at 23, Texas A&M. A&M's a 37.5-point favorite. The over and under is 48.5. What do you think?
I like quick here, Texas A&M with the points, taking the over. It's only a 11-point discrepancy in between the points and the over there. I like Connor Wegman and Texas A&M at Kyle Field.
I like Old Mexico better. We've talked about it in depth. I really don't know what this A&M team is going to look like.
You don't know.
Jimbo claims he's giving away control of the offense. If Jimbo's giving it away, then I can see the over. But if Jimbo still has his paws on the offense in any way, then go ahead and hammer the under and hammer New Mexico covering.
The public's right there with you. New Mexico or Old Mexico is one of the favorites right now for public betting.
So bet against the public.
Yep. So I'm going Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I think I have to.
Bet against the people.
Yep.
People don't get what they want.
We're not the people, though. We're experts.
But Gruber, to your point, like, how do you expect to know what this Texas A&M team is going to look like? I mean, look at the recruiting class I had last year. Everybody touted them. I mean, I had them as a threat in the West last year, and look what happened. So,
Well, I mean, the voters, when you talk about the top 25, the voters are thinking the same thing we are. There's no way that Texas A&M should be 23rd in the country with everything they bring back, everything that they brought in. I mean, it just shouldn't be happening. People just don't know.
you know what else I don't know? What MTSU is going to do against Alabama with a 39.5 point spread. Over and under 54.5. Shout out to our Murfreesboro peeps.
I feel for you this week.
You think the revenge tour starts week 1?
I do. I would take Alabama covering 39.5. I always hate taking spreads like that, but Saban's been smiling way too much, like we've all talked about. The revenge tour is coming. I do see the overhitting. I don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. I do think that you see minimum 2, probably 3 quarterbacks. I think they'll alternate them just because Saban's shown in the past he'll do it. We'll start with Jalen Milroe, and I mean it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter this game. Alabama's got too much talent. Just take the points, take the over.
BB, you're making faces over there. What's wrong?
Milroe's just not that good, but I don't think MTSU has enough to stop him. I mean, I think Milroe himself could run for 300 yards against MTSU. I don't think it's any competition. And usually early on, I'm always one to bet against Alabama because historically Alabama is actually really bad against those huge spreads. Historically, they're horrible against it, and it's always like within a point or two. But I do think they're on a revenge tour. I don't think MTSU matches up at all in any way. I'm taking Alabama the points.
Well, when you talk about this one, the reason we're scared of a lot of the other ones is because you're scared of a quarterback change.
Right.
You probably get a better quarterback coming off the bench than you do that's starting the football game this week.
You do.
So I see more points being scored after the change.
And Ty Simpson's probably going to be their third string. And I think you do see all 3, and I think Ty Simpson is the best out of the 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is I don't think MTSU's defense is going to be able to expose Jalen Milroe, though. I think he's going to look good, and then people are going to be like, "Oh, what's the problem? We have a quarterback."
This is our guy.
I like Alabama with the points. I don't know about the over/under as much, but I'm taking the spread at 39.5 with Alabama with Jalen Milroe. I think you're going to see Ty Simpson too, and then also that Tyler Buckner guy, transfer sophomore, that coming in here too. So I'm interested to see more so what's going on with the defense in Alabama. See what they come out with.
Angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you won't get a good feel for it this week. I love week 1. I hate it at the same time. You just won't get a good feel. Everyone's going to move Alabama right up the boards after this week, and then once we get into the serious competition, we'll find out what Alabama's all about.
Do you think that MTSU puts double digits on the board?
No. I think Alabama eliminates any kind of mistakes this week too. Like you said, Saban's been happy, and I think they're a more disciplined team this year. I think that this is like old Alabama teams. This isn't, flashy, fun Alabama teams of recent. I think this is hard-nosed, no mistakes, going to pound you on defense. Like, I think this is – Pause, yes.
Well, here's my thing about it. So, all offseason and leading up throughout this preseason, all everybody's talked about was, Alabama's got quarterback troubles. They got quarterback problems. Simply because we don't know the starter. When in the history of analyzing football did not knowing the starter automatically mean a problem? You got to remember, we're still talking about the University of Alabama. So whatever their options are, whether it's the second guy, the third guy, whatever, he's at least got to be a 4-star athlete, if not a 5.
Pretty sure they're all 5s.
Okay, so here's my bold take, or just at least a different way of looking at it. Because they don't know who the starter, or because they haven't named the starter yet, is that a reason to be like a little freaked out? Like, damn, are they all that good that we actually can't name a starter? So we got to take a game like MTSU to give 2 or 3 guys the opportunity to go out there and make some plays and then decide? We still talk about Alabama here. And, hey, I'm a Tennessee fan, so it hurts to say.
I love the take.
But as long as Saban's there, Alabama's still in the hunt.
I think that is a great take.
That was fiery too.
That is, yeah, that was some oomph behind it. But I will tell you this: that Jalen Miller sucks. But hey, I will agree with you 100% that I think that is a great problem to have. Mm-hmm. Just like in the NFL, when you see these quarterback battles going on, it's usually because it's not that they're horrible quarterbacks. It's usually that they're good, and you're wanting to see them push each other. So I think that this could make people push each other. But again, like I said last week, Alabama historically has never had this great quarterback. They've always had just a great game manager. So I don't think it matters that much what the quarterback is, like you're saying.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Hopefully it's not Jalen Milroe.
Moving to the East Coast, number 21, North Carolina at South Carolina. North Carolina's a 3-point favorite. Over and under 62. That's a lot of points for just a 3-point spread. They're predicting this to be a close game with a lot of points.
What y'all say about Drake May?
He's good.
Week? I like him.
Yeah, but what was the report that you saw that they were comparing him to like the greatest quarterback prospect?
Oh, yeah. They were saying that, they're saying, I heard reports that he's looked at better than Caleb Williams. Like, they're saying Drake May they're comparing him to Peyton Manning. They're
NFL ready. Just like Josh Rosen.
Hey, Josh Rosen was too smart. He was too smart. Okay, but that's what I was wondering. I was wondering about the Drake May thing.
Yeah. Well, I love. This is one of my locks, honestly, for the week. I love North Carolina at South Carolina. Drake May lost 2 of his receivers. Lost Josh Downs. Lost Antonio Green coming back, but they still have a solid pass catching tight end. And what was his name? Bryson Nesbitt. So I like North Carolina here. Give them the -3. I don't know about the 62 though. I don't know about the 62 here in Sandman in South Carolina. I don't know if they put that many points up, but I think the biggest question is going to be defense versus offense. I think with North Carolina.
I agree. I like the take.
I love Josh Downs too.
No, I love Josh Downs too, and losing Josh Downs is a huge, it's a huge loss. But if these reports saying Drake May is the second coming of Christ basically, then I mean I'm rocking with that guy. Okay, I'm rocking with Drake May. But at the same time, Shane Beamer has those boys ready to play. I think there's a different culture in South Carolina. I like South Carolina. And, if you look back on it, Spencer Rattler, whenever he was at Oklahoma, whenever he first came in, I hate Spencer Rattler.
I can't stand
Spencer Rattler is a cocky piece of shit. He is. I hate him.
For the game,
I hate him. But at the same time, whenever he was at Oklahoma early on, people were saying this was the next great quarterback prospect. Like, if you look at him, he has all the tools. He has all the skills. He's a great quarterback. Just went off in a bad note at Oklahoma. Last year kind of revitalized his career, and I think this year he kind of goes on a little bit of a warpath and shows people that he is that good. Hate him, but I think he does. I think he kind of proves it this year.
I'm right there with you. I mean, if you look at Spencer Rattler's last 3 games last year, I mean, you're talking Tennessee, Clemson, taking down that Clemson defense the way he did. I mean, it was impressive. Games like this, both defenses are pretty bad, honestly. If you look at last year, South Carolina got better. I'm not impressed with North Carolina. But whenever I'm picking a game like this, I always go with the better quarterback, and I do believe Drake May is better than Spencer Rattler. So I'm taking Tar Heels.
I think Drake May is better. However, I did see a South Carolina hype video today, and that's what they're made for. They're made to hype you up. Okay, but I'm like you, BB. I think Beamer has got this organization in a whole new era, so to speak. And I said it before on this podcast, especially in the SEC, man, home field means so much, and with it being the first game of the season, I know it's not the Clemson game, but it's still kind of a Carolina battle, so to speak. So, give me the boys and Garnet.
I like it.
Shane,
Plus, as a Tennessee fan, I need South Carolina to win as many games as possible
yeah, so
before
we can
annihilate that ass in
ruin their
England.
lives.
Hey, Beamer makes me want to run through a brick wall sometimes. I love Beamer. All right.
yeah.
But when we're talking about this, to me, Shane Beamer is Butch Jones 2.0. Butch Jones had me feeling the exact same way until I found out how awful of a football coach he actually was. Is Shane Beamer an awful football coach? No. But just his mannerisms, the way he acts, I mean, it just reminds me so much of Butch Jones. I just can't like the guy.
I don't know, dude. Butch Jones was kind of corny with it, though.
Shane Beamer's pretty corny
He's not
with
as
it.
corny as Butch. Butch Jones had just a
Dan
look.
Mullen was like that too, man.
Hey, Dan Mullen in that documentary, the Swamp Kings documentary.
Yeah. That was a different guy, though, it seemed like.
It didn't seem like the same.
That's not the same guy that was
I
at
mean,
Mississippi
it's him,
State.
but it doesn't seem like the same guy at all.
Yeah, he changed when he came back.
Compare Florida to the culture they had and then go to Mississippi State.
Oh, it's not even close.
I bet you still wish he had the head coaching job at Mississippi State.
I bet he
right now.
does.
Yeah,
too.
oh, yeah.
He was building a
My whole-
juggernaut.
There would be a statue.
I married into a Mississippi State family, and my best friend went to state, and my father-in-law said, "Damn, son, you win 6, 7, maybe 8 games in Starkville, they'll build you a statue. You lose 2, maybe 3 games in Florida, your ass is out."
You're even free.
Yeah.
You're
It's
even for free
the
with
same
that.
situation Lane Kiffin's in right now. I mean, Lane Kiffin hasn't made where he is, and he's overachieving at Ole Miss, to be honest with you. So,
Yeah.
if I was Lane, I'd go nowhere. And he loves those younger girls, so I mean, he's in the perfect spot.
Oh, hell yeah. Gotta love some Oxford. Staying on the East Coast, we're moving a little bit further up north. West Virginia at number 7, Penn State. Penn State is a 20.5-point favorite. Over and under is 53.5.
I love this game. This is what I'm looking forward to a lot too. With that, besides that North Carolina South Carolina game, this is prime time. Penn State in Happy Valley. Place is going to be absolutely rocking. Penn State's returning every single starter on defense, which is absolutely scary. Being with how good they were even last year. I don't know if y'all remember, but this is one of my teams that I had either finishing in the Final Four or looking in. Just like a lot of other people, I like Penn State here, 20.5. Probably taking the over as well. You're going to see Drew L.R. quarterback. I think they'll be able to put points up pretty easily. West Virginia's just not very good, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. Take Penn State in the points. I wasn't as high on Penn State until I actually started digging in and actually doing my research for this year. Penn State's going to be good. They're going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm riding the Penn State train until I have to get off. Once we come into the Michigans and the Ohio States and the big boys, then we'll talk about it. But this week, take Penn State, take the points.
James Franklin's just solid, too. He's going to have him ready.
I'm with you on Penn State, but you know what? You know what's crazy?
The public's with us too.
No, they're with West Virginia right now.
Oh, perfect.
That's great.
Yeah,
Means we're
and-
experts.
And so is the money. The money's with West Virginia right now too. But I'm rocking with Penn State. Like y'all said, I think they reloaded. I think they're too tough. And if you look at the culture that they've kind of built here recently, it's something that West Virginia doesn't have. And I'm a big time person on culture. If you have a team like South Carolina hasn't had culture in forever. Like they haven't had an identity, and now they're starting to get a little bit of an identity, and you can see everything change around that entire campus, and that they are passionate about football again. I think that's the same way with Penn State. I think that culture is so strong there. I mean, these dudes are gonna be ready to play. They're gonna come out hungry, and I think they have some stuff to prove this year too.
Yeah, I mean, night game in Happy Valley.
They're gonna play Mobamba on the.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'd play on repeat.
If there's one lock that I would have to say is like I don't see a chance that West Virginia wins this game on primetime TV.
Right, lock it in.
I mean
Lock it
you're
in.
not going to get any money for that. But I'm just saying that would be like that would blow me away if I saw an upset of West Virginia beating Penn State at home.
Has
game.
that line moved any?
It's at 20.5 on our sheet, but I don't know.
Well,
where
that
it's
was
at now.
that was the opening line.
Let's see.
Wouldn't you love to see West Virginia slap them, though? Especially knowing that
Little
we have
country
a-
roads
we have a-
played.
I'm
we have
all
a
for
West
a good
Virginia
upset.
polo coming in, so the fans will be riding high.
I'd love to see it for the business.
They'll be checking out Acres Down South.
But hey, if we
We'll be
lock these
sending
bets
polos up
in,
to West Virginia,
Hey.
right next to Roback's territory.
So it actually opened at 19.5, and it's up to 20.5 now. So this is a little bit more up to date. So I don't know. I'm still taking Penn State, though. I just was interested.
I agree. Last game on Saturday before we move to the ones on Sunday and Monday. South Alabama at number 24 Tulane. It was only a 7-point favorite, but the over and under is 55.5. I'll just go ahead and start this one, man. I was telling Sally earlier in the office, with Tulane coming out as a, ranked in the top 25, they're at home. Their home is New Orleans. It's week 1. You know how crazy those Cajuns are anyway? And they're only a 7-point favorite to South Alabama? I don't even know anything about these teams, but I know Louisiana. Shit. I'm taking them to cover that. That may be my lock on the parlay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I just think Tulane can cover this. I don't know about the over and under. That's a lot of points. Like I said, you just don't know what you don't know. But I think they can cover 7 points at home. Week 1 in New Orleans. What y'all think?
I'm right there with you. I'm all over Tulane in this game. Tulane is another team that's kind of been building a little bit of, a football culture to them, and they've actually been pretty decent as of recent. And I'm locking in Tulane.
I agree. I like Tulane here. I like Michael Pratt coming back, senior, solid QB. I think they win big.
Mm-hmm.
I think they win big. I think you're looking at a 20-plus point win here.
I like the alternate. I take alternate spread, maybe.
I'm juice it up a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead and get a little
Juice it
crazy
up.
with it.
Yeah,
All right,
why
tell your
not,
friends,
man?
tell your family to do
Why
the same.
not? Juice it up. No, I like
Christmas
him.
money.
You got a lot of returners coming back too. So I mean, a couple solid transfers coming in too with Shedro Lewis, senior transfer, and Dante Fleming, junior transfer.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, like you said, I like Michael Pratt. I mean, we lost Tajay Spears. People forget that. Shout out to Tennessee Titans for finally taking another running back.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it matters. I think Tulane's too much in New Orleans, like you said. Just give me Tulane, give me the points.
All right, moving on to Sunday. Number 18, Oregon State at San Jose State. Oregon State's opening up as a 17-point favorite. Over and under is 54.5. What do you think, Doc?
I like Oregon State here, but I'm going to take San Jose with the points. I think that San Jose had a solid showing week 1 against USC. They're a sneaky team, man. They're a really sneaky team. And it's at San Jose. So that's why I'm leaning more so to the points. I think it could be, if it was at Oregon State, I would lean more towards that, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a nail-biter to that 17, but, I mean, if you really, really are confident about it, I might add or buy a couple extra.
We talked about preseason rankings about 2 weeks ago, and I talked about how much I hated them. The only reason I love preseason rankings is because teams that I really don't know that much about, preseason rankings give you a good idea. Oregon State's returning a decent bit, and off of a very good Oregon State team last year. When you think of Oregon State, you don't really think of football.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball.
I'm big on Oregon State this year. Give me Oregon State covering.
I'm right there with you. I'm rocking with Oregon State. I think it's going to be a solid year for them. And, I mean, we were talking about it. Teams that kind of have sports they're good in other sports too. Oregon State's a really good baseball school. They're always prestigious in baseball, and I think that football program is kind of coming around to that as well.
You can always tell a good culture in a good university. I mean, when you look at Alabama, they're good at everything. You look at Tennessee, good at everything. LSU, good at everything. Oregon State, teams like that are finally starting to come around.
It takes some time for them to come around and build their other programs up, but it's coming. Like it's coming. So I'm with you on Oregon State there, and Public's on San Jose State, so I like Oregon State even better.
There we go.
Hey, man, if the Beavers can cover a dam, they can cover a spread too. I like it.
Amen.
On to our next game. This one was actually my favorite one last week, or the one that I'm most excited about, so to speak. Our only top 10 matchup we have. Our other Louisiana team, the one that's a little more popular. Number 5, LSU, the Bayou Bengals at, actually, it's a neutral site game. Number 8, Florida State, playing at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. The spread is only LSU by 3. Over and under is 56.5. Y'all have heard me say it. I think LSU can do it in the West this year. I think last year they lost to that cringing blocked field goal or extra point. I think they're out for revenge. Give me LSU here.
I like Florida State. I think that Jordan Travis and Mike Norvell. I mean, I think Florida State is good. I think this year they're going to show a lot of people that they've improved from last year. That was a tough game last year with LSU, and I think this year they sneak away with it with the points.
I'm right there with you. I've been hearing there's been a question going around, and there's a team from the SEC that you have high hopes for to collapse and not meet those expectations. Who would it be? And everyone said LSU. I'm not big on Jaden Daniels. I do think Malik Neighbors is one of the best receivers in the SEC. And Mike Norvell needs this game.
He does need it.
People think that Mike Norvell's off the hot seat. They are very mistaken. Mike Norvell is still firmly on the hot seat, and he's going to need this game to cool that chair off a little bit. Mm-hmm. I like Jordan Travis. I like everything that Mike Norvell brings in, and I also don't like Brian Kelly. I've never liked him at Notre Dame.
Phony.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Fake
Give me Florida State.
Give me LSU by double digits.
Wow.
LSU by double digits. Lock it in. LSU by double digits.
It's not in Death Valley.
I don't care. It has nothing to do with that.
Tennessee proved that Death Valley is a myth.
Look, I'm actually a big fan of Brian Kelly. I wasn't at first because he was kind of phonyish whenever he first came in, but I think he started fitting into the culture. I think he started learning, what not to say and what to say a little bit. And I think that LSU's riding a high note coming in. I think Florida State, a lot of hope for them. But I don't believe the program under Mike Norvell right now. I think he is on the hot seat still. I know some, beat writers and analysts and stuff are saying that, he's off the hot seat and he's building a program now. But I think he's still on the hot seat, and I think that kind of trickles down to the rest of the team.
I think he might still be on the hot seat, but that doesn't change the fact that he's not a solid coach. And I think he killed it. He killed it in recruiting this year. They have a solid Jordan Travis is good.
Travis is good.
He's really good.
Daniels
I know that LSU defense is solid too, but I lean Florida State. I think they're going to do well this year. I think they're also going to win the ACC.
Ooh. I like it. You think they're winning the ACC?
I think they beat Clemson.
Okay. You're just completely throwing out the second coming of Peyton Manning over there at North Carolina. Mm-hmm. You don't even think that they're in the conversation?
No. I don't think they're as good as Clemson or FSU.
Okay. All right.
I'm right there with them. I mean,
not that bold.
Move into the next game, and we'll talk more about who I think's winning the ACC.
Well, just to finish it up, I do like Florida State.
Duke.
But if I wasn't so high on LSU this year, it's kind of been so far my kind of go-to talk about every episode was, because I was the same way with Brian Kelly. When he first showed up, I was like, this ain't it. He's about to get dog smack. Welcome to the SEC. He was making the silly ass TikToks and stuff with the recruits. I was like, this goofy son gun is about to get shown how these boys in the South were on the rock.
He went nuts to butt on that one video.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, sketch.
But he proved himself last year in year one. So why not ride the train? At least right now where we're sitting at preseason, week one. Maybe we'll have a different conversation next week, but right now I'm riding LSU. So
multiple points.
Moving on to Monday, September 4th, number 9 Clemson at Duke. Clemson's a 13-point favorite. Over and under is 55.5. What y'all think?
Take Clemson and the points.
I think I hate Monday night games.
Why?
I think it's dumb.
You sound like a miserable person.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Monday night games are stupid, dude.
You don't have anything better to do than get home and watch a Monday night football game.
I can think of a couple things.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm rocking with you.
I can't think of anything.
No, I'm glad. It gives you something to do, but I just would rather see Clemson at prime time. If you're going to watch a college football game, I want to watch it on Saturday. But
Or they could be the only people playing that day.
And that's all you get to watch. You got something to look forward
They get
to.
much
Well,
more
I don't get
prime
off
than
till
that.
7 anyway, so I'm gonna miss half of it.
Oh, here the
Debbie
truth
Downer.
comes
Hey,
out.
Yeah.
if you want my honest opinion on this game,
Yeah.
I think it's an ugly game. I don't think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it hits the under by a mile. I do. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think there's going to be a lot of turnovers. Like, I think it's just going to be an ugly game all around. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Clemson, but I don't want to touch this game, and I think it hits the under, by, like I said, by a mile.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick Clemson.
I mean, yeah, if I had to pick one, I'd pick Clemson. But I'm big on Clemson this year. People forget, just because Dabo had a bad year last year, which it wasn't even a bad year. We're finally talking about Clemson on that Alabama level where, losing 3 games in a year is a bad year.
Uh-huh.
I really like Cade Klubnik. The defense is always going to be good.
Will Shipley.
Will Shipley. So, yeah, give me Clemson. Give me Clemson to cover.
But over under.
55.5.
I don't think Clemson is.
Under.
I'm not going to say that they're equipped to not cover it, but I just don't see them doing it. Dabo likes to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, give me the under.
Yep.
I'm the same way. I think they covering, but I don't think they hit the over. Give me the under on that one as well. Well, let's do it, boys. We've talked about it. Let's run through it. Let's make a 4-leg parlay. If I gotta give my log, I gotta go back to what I was saying earlier. Give me Tulane covering that 7 point.
The live line on that one is 6.5 Tulane right now too. So I have a solid 4-leg parlay that will pay your mortgage off real quick, and that is Florida covering that 6.5. North Carolina, give them the 2.5 there. Penn State minus 20.5 versus West Virginia. Tulane 6.5 plus 1,230.
Okay.
That's $100 to make you 1,230.
What if you had to give your one
I'm
lot?
about to say, we
Yeah.
appreciate it, but what's your one lot?
Yeah.
All of them, throw them all in there.
We're building a 4-leg, not an 8-leg.
I know. Well, you like Tulane. If I had to pick one of those, I'd probably lean towards the North Carolina game.
I like it. If I'm
2.5.
picking one lock, it's a game that we didn't even talk about. Thursday night, Nebraska, Minnesota. I do think that Nebraska covers that 7-point spread. Matt Rule's coming in. They lost a decent bit, but not enough to really scare me. Minnesota's going to try to run the football. It's their identity every year. Nebraska's going to try and air it out. I think Nebraska can keep it close. Give me Nebraska covering that 7-point spread.
All right. Well, I'm not going to lie. I love all y'all's picks, and I would lock all of them in. And I'll add my 4th play to it, and it's going to go right back to what we just talked about, the Duke Clemson under. I'm locking that in. I'm 100% sure of that one. And then I'll send it back your way, but I'll give you 2 more that I really like. Coastal Carolina covering against UCLA. Love Coastal Carolina against UCLA. It was opened at 15.5, I believe, and I would take that. I'd probably take it down to 12 or 13, honestly. I like Coastal Carolina there. And then also, last one, Hawaii. I bet against them last week, and I got everything right. I got every single pick right last week except Hawaii and Vanderbilt. And I went with my gut. But right before we left, I did say that the data was saying otherwise and Big Germ was saying otherwise. But I had to go with my gut. But I also found out something about Timmy Chang. Timmy Chang said that he uses Vegas's spread as motivation before the game. So he'll go in there and he'll sit down the spread and he says, this is what they think about you. When I found that out, I'm rocking with the guy that uses Vegas for motivation.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
So far, Big Germ has called out Doc with Kenny Pickett. Pretty much, I don't know if this is a award or not, but would you call him the preseason MVP? And I
You know what the funny thing about the preseason MVP is? You don't get anything.
I know, but we got the recordings. Okay, and I told Corbin's brother last week. That Vandy would win, but they wouldn't cover. He didn't listen. Could have had his house paid off last week. Gruber
I got
and
everything
on the
else
same
right.
page
On
a
the same
lot, so it
page.
may be a while before I get him. But so far, I'm 2 for 2 on
Another one
these
that I
boys.
do like, and this is something I really like doing week 1 just because you never know what's going to happen. I really like Tennessee with that first half spread. I'm not sure what it's sitting at, but I would hammer that Tennessee first, whatever it is. I would hammer Tennessee first half spread.
And that's the same thing, too. I think that you could hammer that USC team total first half.
USC and Tennessee are going to put up points. One, Caleb Williams is going to play a lot. He's going to pad his stats. But I'll go back to what I said about Tennessee. I like Nico. I like when Nico comes in, I think he gets better.
I agree.
Right there with you.
Wholeheartedly. What about Memphis, the home team? Bethune-Cookman this week.
Hey,
I'm a horrible graduate because I went through the depth chart the other day and I knew Seth Hennigan and nobody else.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be kind of a rough year for Memphis. I mean, I think they win, obviously, against Cookman. But
Yeah. Shout out Bethune-Cookman, though, because we used to treat all their players down there down at Daytona Beach. Good people.
what's the line on that game right now?
Let's look it up.
While you're looking that up, lock this in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first inaugural Last Call Sports 4-leg parlay created live on the podcast. We got North Carolina to cover 2.5, Tulane to cover 7, Nebraska to cover 7, and Duke Clemson hitting the under. Lock it in. The boys have cooked. And speaking of cooking, if you're doing that anytime soon, let me give a shout out to our other sponsor, Beer Belly Barbecue. They've got rubs, they've got sauces. In the rub lineup, they've got all-purpose honey barbecue, Bayou and Bayou spicy. In the sauces, they've got barbecue tangy and barbecue hot. Guys, those rubs are legit. I mean, I can seriously tell you,
Yeah.
the only person out there that has a better rub is probably Deshaun Watson.
Nothing like a good rub.
Yeah.
Pause.
Check them out at beerbellybarbecue.com. Acres Down South will be your sole distributor of that very soon. So we will cover all of your game day needs. What about that Memphis game?
I couldn't find it.
Oh,
It's probably too
Real
big
important.
While we're on the topic of Memphis, me and Logan talked about this when it happened. Ryan Silverfield was always going to be the downfall of the Memphis program. We said it. It's happened. Memphis is falling back, and I don't want to say into obscurity because, I mean,
Dark ages.
you're better than what you were, but the trajectory of the Memphis football program has severely gone down since Ryan Silverfield.
Silverfield fired his whole coaching staff this offseason basically to use them as a scapegoat on what happened last year. I hate Silverfield.
He's a beta.
Dude, he puts on this whole persona like he puts everything off on everybody else and doesn't own up to anything. He wasn't ready for the job whenever they gave it to him. And he's proving every day that he's still not ready for the job. Feinbaum, remember when he went off on him? Or went off on the Memphis, he said this is going to be the end of the program if you bring him back. And they did, and then fired everybody else. So, yeah. Low on Silverfield.
I don't see an active line for that game right now.
It's probably the limit does not exist.
I'm taking Cook.
They got a predicted score of Memphis 34, Cook 27.
Yes. Cookman.
Odd Shark does. So,
Love
We'll
Odd-
see.
Love Odd Shark. Shout out to Odd Shark.
yeah. Cookman is 4-9 against the spread in their last 13 games, and the total has gone over in 5 of Bethune-Cookman's last 6. Something spicy.
Who they been playing though? School of Deaf and Blind.
I don't know, man.
It'll
Last
be
10 games,
interesting.
Cookman, last 10 games. September 3rd, Miami, 2022. This isn't their last 10 games. If it is, they played 10 games since 2015. I don't think that's their last 10.
There could be some truth to that.
Yeah.
sounds like a Bishop Sycamore.
Speaking of, if you haven't watched that documentary, watch that
Oh,
documentary.
it's way better than the Swamp Kings, doc. HBO just does a killer job.
That was insane.
There needs to be a law out there that HBO just needs to have all the rights to sports documentaries.
The Untold stuff should be canceled from here on out. Untold should just be put in charge for making cool hype videos
Dude,
and then nothing else.
I mean, for what
That-
they put out, it was put together well
Yeah.
with the content they put out. But like I told y'all in the group text that right after I watched it, like I was looking for the dirty laundry, man.
No, yeah, they hit all that.
I can tell you how great they were. Hell, I lived it. Watched it live.
Right.
Wish I could forget it.
I want to hear
All
from
it was
Pouncey
was
twins.
two things.
I want to hear somebody talk
Aaron
some dirt on
Hernandez.
Aaron Hernandez. I want.
Yeah.
Talk about Cam Newton stealing laptops.
Yeah.
Nothing was that. Yeah, nothing was.
They didn't talk about any of the good
I
stuff.
mean, they just whoever produced that was a huge Florida fan.
No, all they
Had to
did was
been.
suck off Tebow and
Urban Meyer.
and Urban Meyer. And Urban
Tebow
Meyer's not a
And
good
they didn't,
guy.
even
Tebow
get,
was a
they didn't
virgin.
even get in his stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
They didn't even get the urban stuff.
No,
He
they
wasn't
made
good,
Urban
he
Meyer.
sucked off.
They made Urban Meyer look like this great motivator and great coach. And
He was.
And Urban Meyer's not a good guy though. And I think
we all have our battles.
I think it was more about Tebow
yeah.
because everybody loved Tebow.
How
Like
can you not?
even if they didn't, hang out with him and think he was cool, like they respected him because how hard he worked.
What pissed me off the most about that whole entire documentary, being a Gator fan, was the fact of how they perceived Chris Leak to be a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
did like
Yeah,
And-
they didn't even have him on the dock. Like he didn't have a chance to say.
He didn't. He didn't even
just
have a
darted
word.
him.
He couldn't even.
Exactly.
He couldn't even
He
like
couldn't even back his own self
himself.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Leak was
But-
good.
Dude, Leak was solid.
And he set the
he
sound- he
he
set the
wasn't Tebow.
foundation.
He wasn't Tebow. Yeah,
No.
if Leak's not there, they were not on the rise. I know that Urban Meyer came from Utah over there. We're playing Utah week 1. But I mean, I don't know. They don't do mat drills no more. They don't do any of that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in Florida.
Urban Meyer's just hitting on
Or Gain Vegas.
18-year-olds at the bar now.
Yeah. God, that was wild. Kicking kickers.
That's what I love about high school girls. As I get older, they stay the same age.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you this though. Urban Meyer, motivator, he had a great system, but he's just not a good dude. And they portrayed him to be like this great guy. He's not. Tim Tebow was a great guy, but they made him look like he was, some great quarterback when he really wasn't. I mean, he wasn't
Tim
a great
Tebow
quarterback.
wasn't a great quarterback?
He was great for that system, but Tim Tebow's not a great quarterback.
He's one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time.
He is the greatest.
He is the greatest. If you look at it, he is the greatest college quarterback of all time. But if you look at the way a quarterback position is played, like Chris Leak was technically a better skilled quarterback than Tebow.
I agree with that.
Like he was more skilled than Tebow. Tebow was just physically strong and a winner, and he was just going to run over people to get the yardage that they need. But I mean,
And Tebow had the weapons that Chris Leak didn't have.
yeah,
Chris Leak had weapons. He didn't have those weapons.
Well, he had the weapons because of who he was.
Leak was more talented though.
No.
For being honest, as far as
Talent?
talent,
As a
if you're
quarterback.
talking about ball talent,
So you're saying like by him being able to throw. So
Tebow was a fullback playing quarterback.
is Anthony Richardson talented?
Anthony Richardson throws 100 times better than Tebow. Like as far as
He
his
doesn't throw it
mechanics and
accurately.
everything, Tebow didn't throw it accurate either. I mean, I love Tebow. I'm not taking anything away from him, but Richardson throws a ball way better than Tebow did, and he has way more. Tebow was yoked, all right, but Tebow had zero strength when it came to throwing the ball. Like he could not get the ball down the field.
But also too, that wasn't their offensive scheme.
It wasn't, but even when he got to the NFL, that was his whole not going to the
He
NFL.
won a playoff game.
He did win a playoff
About
game.
took him to the-
Hey, I watched the whole documentary or mini documentary on that on TikTok the other day because it was playing all the games. They were like down every single fourth quarter, and then he just would
Came
will
back.
them to and
By the grace of God.
but every single pass that he made was literally like 15 yards.
Yeah.
Nothing over
Well, that's what
15
you
yards.
had. I mean, Percy Harvin. You had all these weapons, dude. Brandon Johnson. I mean,
They
like,
were loaded.
stupid. It was crazy.
That didn't take the fact away that he can't throw on Chris.
Or
Lee
the
was
fact
more
that
talented.
40% of that team went to jail at one point in time.
They had that dog in them.
Yeah, they had it.
That's not a Tebow bash.
Yeah, I was
It's
about
not
to
a
say we
Tebow
got
bashing.
way off there. Last call, anybody?
Last call is that. I mean,
I guess Brent's last call is that Chris Leak's a better quarterback
than Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
If you want to talk about skill, Chris Leak is more skilled than Tim Tebow as a quarterback. And I really don't even understand how Tebow was the top-ranked quarterback that year coming out of high school. Wasn't he the top-ranked quarterback coming out of high school that year?
yeah. Saving grace.
I mean, Lamar Jackson.
My thing is, if he's not talented, all those other guys don't go there.
No, they wanted to go there. I mean, I'm not saying he's not talented. He can run over anybody, and he's a physically imposing quarterback, and he can lead.
Is he talented or is he not talented?
If you're talking about just from a traditional quarterback standpoint, he's not talented.
Okay.
Except for his
We're gonna see
leadership
what the people
qualities.
think about
His
that.
leadership qualities are talent.
Okay. I agree.
It's the same way in the NFL when people hate on Lamar Jackson because he couldn't throw the ball, but Lamar Jackson throws the ball 100 times better than Tim Tebow. But that's my last call. All right, Tim Tebow, I love him to death, love the guy, but he was not a good quarterback in the sense of him being able to throw the ball.
Gruber?
You argue? I mean, do you?
No, we get it. We're here. We got you.
Okay.
Brendan's
I
got
think
some
my
things
last
in the
call from
closet he
now
needs to talk
on
about.
I'm angry.
It's going to be a public service announcement for everyone, especially since Doc is back, that kids, we don't slide with shorts on in a softball game.
I'm not that guy.
When you get past the age of 27, just don't slide anymore. You don't have any need to.
I didn't try to.
I think we should
Instinct.
start a poll to see if we should pour peroxide on your leg.
Absolutely not. We're not doing that.
What do the people want it?
Well, people don't always make money when they vote for a certain team, so why should they be able to put peroxide on my leg?
Do it for the brand. We're in the
Why don't we put peroxide on you?
Okay, where you want to put it?
We can make a cut.
All right.
My last call, Florida plus 6.5. I think that's another lock.
I love that. If
Cam
Rising doesn't play,
Monitor the situation.
yeah, we're gonna leave it up to y'all's discretion.
Hey, I'm rocking Louisiana teams. Tulane -7, LSU -3. Lock it in. That has been the last call.